I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's just a few days away. Disneyland is reopening April 30th. Everyone is gearing up for the magic to come back, but be warned, Disneyland won't be the same as when it closed. And I'm not talking about the few rides that have changed, like Snow White and Haunted Mansion. No, I'm talking about the bigger picture. I mean how the entire park will operate. If you're not ready, your dream of returning to the park will turn into an absolute nightmare, and we wouldn't want that. So find out what's changing and, more importantly, what to do to prepare for your return to the happiest place on earth. Good morning, my name is Steven, and today we're going to be answering the question, what is Disneyland's reopening going to look like? I'll also be talking about the steps that we'll be taking to give ourselves the best opportunity for the most magical day possible. But just remember, Disneyland is what you make of it. I'm not saying to follow what we're going to be doing. In fact, I'm saying the exact opposite. I just want to make you aware of some of the problems that we can run into upon your return. How you handle it is completely up to you. So let me start off by giving you a glance of the future to show you what it's going to look like. The day has finally come. Your alarm bell rings off, jolting you awake. You've had a hard time sleeping because, let's be honest, it's too exciting to go to sleep. You're finally going to the happiest place on earth. That's enough to get you out of bed. You jump out of bed and get dressed, and before you know it, you're on your way. You pull into the parking structure just 30 minutes before park opening, and that's where the first problem lies. You'll be met with rows of cars trying to pay for parking, which will also be $25 just as it was before it closed. After paying for parking and waiting additional time just trying to park, you'll be going down those escalators. I like those escalators, but they'll be leading you to a line. In that line, you'll get your temperature checked and go through security. But after that, there's another problem. There's no tram operating, so the old-fashioned way it is. That'll be at least a 20-minute walk, and by the end of it, you'll be rewarded with, you guessed it, another line. Line after line, you'll finally make it to the front gates of Disney. Distant memories of sunshines and rainbows start coming back to you. You're on cloud 9, baby. You finally made it to Disneyland. And it only took you 2 hours to do it. Well, the hours just aren't as long as they used to be, and you realize that, so you quickly start making your way to your first ride, Space Mountain. Is it Pirates? Peter Pan? Andy? I'm sorry, my crystal ball isn't working, it's a little foggy. I'm gonna need you to comment down below what your first ride's going to be. That way it's straightforward. So, what do the rides look like? Well, wait times will feel almost as a regular day at Disney, but the length of the line is what's scary. Seeing people queue up for Haunted Mansion way outside of the entrance is a little disheartening. Skipping rides here and there to avoid some outrageous wait times seems like a great idea. Coming back later at night when no one's thinking about those rides has worked before. Nothing could possibly go wrong. After a few rides, it's time to eat. Upon your arrival at the restaurant, you'll be told to use mobile order, which won't have a time slot for at least a half an hour away. Don't worry though, because waiting is just a part of that Disney experience. Once you get your food from the window, you'll sit down at the table and alas, you're enjoying your favorite Disney meal. But you hear whispers from a table in the distance. Something about a Star Wars ride? Well, you've heard about how crazy this ride is, but you're not sure how to get on it. And that's honestly a later problem. You'll get to it when you get there. By the time you get back to the rides, it'll be over an hour. Panicking ensues because it's already 3 p.m. The rest of the day will probably be spent doing some shopping, saying hi to characters, and aimlessly waiting in lines for rides. 7 p.m. is gonna come before you know it. You'll be left with this empty feeling. You didn't even get to do all the rides you wanted. You should have gone on them when you had the chance. And that Star Wars ride from earlier, Rise of the Resistance, you didn't get to do that either. But at least you got a cool BB-8 pin to commemorate your non-riding. Looking into the future, that wasn't that fun, but that's just one of 14,605 different possible futures. I can't tell you if you're gonna have the most magical day, because if I do, it won't happen. But I can give you some tips, tricks, and things to look out for while you're there. That way you have the best chance to have the most magical day. So be sure to keep watching all the way till the end. Looking back, we can see that our problem lies in that we waited a lot of time in line. That's a part of the Disney experience, am I right? Yes, but you're paying a premium to visit the park, and Disney is giving you less time to enjoy it. So you want to get the most out of your day as possible. So in order to do that, we got to start all the way from the beginning. Before your day at Disney, you need to have a ticket and a reservation ahead of time. You can get both at the Disneyland website or app. I want to make this clear. Disneyland tickets are not sold out. Yes, there are days that are already fully booked, but there are plenty of other days that you can go. Just make sure you check that calendar ahead of time before you pick your day for Disneyland. I have a whole video about that as well, where I dive into a lot of information about purchasing tickets, getting reservations, and much more. If you're not aware yet, I recommend that you watch that video first, then come back. But let's just say you already have your ticket, yet you want more time in the park. The ticket booths will be open for you to upgrade your ticket to a park hopper or even add more days, up to a 5-day. Trust me, just do it before the end of your day. And the cast members at the ticket booths will be happy to help you. So it's the beginning of the day. With the obvious aside, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Well, at 7 a.m., Rise of the Resistance boarding passes will become available. If you don't know, that's the latest and greatest Star Wars ride that came out back in 2020. It was so popular that it needed its own virtual queue to control crowds. It was like that even before Disneyland closed last year. This time around, boarding passes will come back and they'll be made available at 7 a.m. to anyone with the reservation for Disneyland. It's free. All you have to do is hop on the app and join the queue as soon as you can. I highly recommend that you go on Rise of the Resistance, so get a boarding pass. But just so you know, you'll be competing against the likes of me, who will also be up at 7 a.m. getting a boarding pass. If you have a park hopper or you missed out on the first wave of boarding passes, a second wave of boarding passes will be made available at 12 p.m., meaning you have 2 possible opportunities to get a boarding pass. Even more reason not to miss out on it. Before you go, you should be made aware of the safety principles Disneyland has in place. As of today, only Californian residents are allowed to visit the parks. I don't know for sure how or if they'll be checking it, but I'd be ready for it just in case. There will be temperature screenings before security. To save yourself from the possible hassle, make sure you check you and your party's temperature ahead of time, so that way you can arrive to Disney with confidence. Next, eating or drinking is only allowed in designated areas, and you must be stationary while doing so. That means that you can't eat or drink in lines. So grabbing a chair and going straight to Thunder Mountain, that's not an option anymore. Now let's talk about arriving at Disney. Of course, if you're staying at a hotel nearby, you may just want to skip out on this. Earlier I mentioned the chaos that will be the entrance. So if you're going on the first weekend of Disneyland's reopening, the parking structure will open at 6:30 a.m. to accommodate all the crazy fans that want to be first to get in. At least, that's a rumor that I've heard, but I do have an article that does state this. Any other day after opening weekend, or even if Disney doesn't follow through with it, they'll be opening a half an hour before park opening. Parking does take a lot of time to go through though, and with that added walk, you'll be lucky to make it in Disneyland when it opens at 9 a.m. A half an hour is not enough time to get through, so if Disney only opens a half an hour early, I would recommend possibly parking at a nearby hotel. I've personally parked at the Anaheim Hotel before, but it will be $25 just as Disney, so there won't be any saving money in that option. The only added benefit though is that you can park there as early as you want. That might be an advantage. All you have to do is walk over to the nearby harbor entrance, and that's not a bad walk. It might just give you the edge to get in first. Of course, just thinking about it, there's not enough queue space to let guests into the Esplanade, so I predict they'll probably start letting in guests a little early. The event, A Touch of Disney, start letting guests in a half an hour early, so we might be able to expect the same thing with Disneyland. Disney World in Florida also lets guests in a little bit early too. That way they could avoid the huge queue lines in front of the gates. I think it's reason enough to suspect that they'll be letting us in a little early, which will give you a head start to getting on all the rides you want to go on that'll be busy later in the day. Now the biggest recommendation I have is getting the Disneyland app. I know Disneyland and everyone else is probably talking about this, but this is really important. This is going to be your key to getting the boarding passes, and it'll also be your key to the entire park. Disney is trying to stray away from paper items such as maps, menus, and etc. So being up to date with technology will definitely pay off here. As I'm sure you've heard before, you can check the up-to-date wait times on attractions, which if you want to get on the most rides possible, this will come in handy. Besides, with limited capacity, wait times are going to be completely different than what we're used to. It's not just limited capacity in the park, it's limited capacity in the rides. Personally, using the app is how I make my decisions for what ride to go on next. Wait times are like roller coasters. They go up and they go down. You tell me if you'd rather be going up or down. Additionally, there will be no Fastpass or MaxPass, so you won't be able to skip the line. That makes using the app even more important. The Disneyland app also includes mobile order for dining, which, let me tell you, is the #1 secret for your lunch break. You can order ahead of time through the app. If you know what time you want to eat, say 12:30, you can select that time slot and put your order in. So that way when you arrive at 12:30, it'll be ready. But if you don't know exactly what time you're gonna eat, then when you decide that you want to eat, start making your way to the restaurant of choice and also put in your order through the app. That way when you arrive, you might experience some of the best timing of your life. Let's talk about finding character experiences. It's not going to be the same as before. You are no longer able to walk up, take a picture, or sign autographs. Instead, they will be placed in high-up places or behind barriers. Don't worry though, pictures are still allowed. All you have to do is take your camera, line it up perfectly for them to stand in the background of the picture. Now, I love characters, but this is something that I'll personally be skipping out on. But if it's important to you, I recommend keeping a mental note of what characters you see and where, because they'll be popping in and out throughout the entire day, just like the crowds will. So if you're lucky, you might just find that perfect opportunity to snap a picture with Mickey. Lastly, how's the shopping gonna look like? Well, all our favorite stores are gonna be open. I know it's always tempting to do shopping throughout your day, but I must say, you're gonna wanna push it till the latter part of your day. At close, you may not join the queues for any attractions, but what you can do is hop in a store. Remember, the stores of Main Street and Buena Vista Street stay open till 1 hour after park closing. Of course, you can shop whenever you'd like, just I hope you don't mind carrying around a bag all day. So there you have it. Now you know what I'll be doing during my first day back at Disneyland. No plan is necessary, but just a simple understanding of what's to come will help cut out so much wasted time. Drop your comments down below on what your plan is to make the most magical return ever. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below as well. I try to answer them as fast as I can. Be sure to leave a like on the video as well if it was helpful at all. That way we can get this video out to as many people who need to see it. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you back at Disneyland. As always, this isn't a goodbye, but just a see you real soon.